Hey, how y'all doing? This is Patrick with Personal Touch Mobile Detailing, and you are watching our in-depth detail live series. Today we have a special guest that is joining us today, and let me tell you a little bit about our guest. He is he's the owner of Wings Mobile Detailing. He is an immigrant from Brazil, so he came down here to the States to conquer. And he started in the detail business down here in 2005. Now he has three franchises, as well as 10 employees. So I want to welcome to our show uh, Andre. Did I pronounce
Mezalira.
that? Mezalira. I am so bad with names. So how you
It's all
doing?
good, Patrick. I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and I look forward to it to share the story and some as much tips and tricks as I can in the business side.
Okay. So, what do a person have to do to put their business in a position to franchise it? So, in our industry, in the detail industry, we don't have a lot of big companies. So, there's a lot of space for people to grow and to expand into franchising. So, what would you say would be some of the tips and tricks that they can do to put themselves in a position to build a franchise business?
Yeah, that's true, Patrick. I mean, we are in this industry, especially. Indeed, it doesn't. There are not many big organizations out there with already really big, established all worldwide or nationwide or just any type of franchise like this. And I think the reason being is because most people, when they get to, there are certain industries, and detailing, I think, is one of those, that a lot of people, they get in detailing just as either a side job or, but they don't treat it as a big organization. So therefore,
Right.
it's difficult to find a brand who's actually growing. And even on the franchise aspect, franchisees who want to take advantage of a big brand, and let's say they want to start detailing, it's hard to find because you can't not really find. So looking for a company who's well established and has a great brand out there is a plus. They have to do a lot of homework to find these companies, the pros and cons, the people who are running the company, their systems that are in place to actually, get to be part of a really good organization with a well established brand already.
Mm-hmm.
And what we look for a lot, Patrick, I cover a lot on this topic actually, for the different mindset the business owners do have. A lot of them, they start off either, they, as I said, they just want to treat it as a side hustle. And other people even have big ambition. They want to really grow a company, start a business, and grow it to the point where it's a big organization. But a lot of these people also, they don't treat it as an organization from the beginning. They think that they have to go from small and take huge steps. Consequently, they start off spending a lot of money in advertising, a lot of money in and even Facebook ads, or paying people to do one thing or the other. Paying people from the beginning, from the get go, to take care of their marketing, take care of their take phone calls. So sometimes they want to take huge steps and they are not ready for those steps. So that's why a lot of people, they fall off because they already want to take big steps, but they don't know how to do each one of them individually. Other people, they actually do know, they do want to take those huge steps, but they go too slow. So I think there's two sides to that spectrum. One that goes too fast and the other one who goes too slow. And for me, the
Right.
number one thing to answer your question is not only look for a company that they have systems and a foundation in place to where they're not overspending on one side and not undervaluing, and on the other side is, if they want to start growing for themselves, they have to learn everything. Take time for self development, learning all the ins and out about the business, and don't take huge step that you cannot handle it. So go step by step, and that's business are like that. It's not like what we see on Instagram nowadays that, oh, from one day business owners took them a year to grow huge. That doesn't happen in real life. There are struggles in the middle, and it's supposed to be hard and difficult like that. So
Right.
definitely learning, the ins and out of businesses, all the areas, growing slow. They start one step after the other. They get clients, they get more clients, and then they eventually, okay, I need help now. So they hire somebody else to help. But as they are hiring somebody else to help, they want to train these people, and they want to train these people to do the services. So I'm going to be very practical now. They want to train people to do the services. They're trainees. So then they can take the van, for example, in the business and go out alone to themselves.
Mhm.
But while you're training, you also have to think, okay, the services needs to be made in a unique way that you're able to teach, uh, to show somebody how to teach somebody else. So to expand, you cannot have you arrive to the client's house and suddenly your service change right away, or suddenly your prices change if you do one thing extra. It needs to be systemized and organized so that it's easy to train people and teach them step by step, so you prepare for the future, but taking, you know uh, not small steps, but going step by step, but always preparing.
Yeah, and I talk about that a lot. I write different articles on Sunday, and I post them. And one of the things that stands true is having systems. In order for you to run an effective company, it has to be systemized. When you take a look at more your bigger brands and your bigger companies or businesses in general, is everything is systematic. That's why when people come to work there, the job gets done because of the fact they're working inside of an organization or a system that was created to produce the work um, that company specializes in. So when you don't have that system or you don't have that in place, it puts you in a space where it's unorganized and it's chaos because
True.
nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows, what's the next steps to getting to whatever the goal is. Like for instance, with us, we have quotas that we meet every day, every week, every month, every quarter, and then every year. So with having measurable goals that you are achieving helps you achieve the next one and the next one and the next one. Um, but if you don't have that in place, then it's just like, you're spinning your wheels and you never really get to where you're trying to go because you don't, number one, you don't know where you started from. And then number two, you don't have a ending point or sectors in between to connect you to the next level. So what you're saying is absolutely true. And for the detailing business, I want to see more of us like yourself, starting franchises and building businesses. Every industry, I look at the landscaping and industry, they have built a business that can survive and that can thrive. But my question to you would be, what made you decide to turn Wings Mobile Detailing into a franchise business? What made you make the switch to the franchise model?
Yeah, I think so. To answer this question, I'm going to go back a little bit from in the beginning to that was my point for that I wanted to what I wanted to do from the beginning is always grow a big business. I knew that at the beginning of school, I went to college, it really wasn't for me, and I have a whole background before that. But to the point where I got to the way I got into detailing into this industry, was not mainly because I loved cars. I'm not like crazy passionate about cars, and that's fine. But it was because I loved this style of business, and I realized that it is a business that you can expand. Being if you start on your local area and you're gonna um, grow your clientele and thinking of the future, because this is mainly a mobile business. We're going to the customer's house, and as time
Right.
goes by, people want convenience. But the way I got into franchise is mainly um, is I wanted to be to own a business, grow a business that has those benefits, that able to expand. And from there, all the work it takes after that to make it a business, to make it expandable, is it's a whole nother story. But that's how I realized from the beginning. I was like, okay, detailing. And then it was an instant thought, oh, car detailing. People, it would be nice to have it serviced at the client's house. I'll love that if I'm a resident and I wanted people to come over my house and detail my car, and
Right.
from exotics to standard vehicles.
Yeah.
And I know, oh, this can be done mobile. And that was pretty much how I started, because I wanted a type of business that is mobile, and my vision for it is to have multiple vans and manage a team of people that are mobile, and work vehicles, and have a location like we do, have a shop
Hmm.
location, headquarters per se. And I thought about detailing. I was like, okay, I can grow. And so since the beginning, I treated it as a business that I don't want to do it part time. I don't want to just do self employment, and it's fine if people are into self employment. I treat it as a business that I want to grow, create systems, and be ready to expand. And detailing, the way this business is it's pretty awesome, because no matter where you are, if you create systems at the beginning, and I can go over how to create those systems, is the way the detailing works in this industry is, if you want to grow, you pretty much purchase a van. That's assuming you have the systems in place. Purchase a van, have
Right.
your trainer train people, and off the go. There's no big overhead, a lot of headaches with employees turnover, because at the industry, it's nice to do detailing. Let's be straight honest. It's a
Hmm.
nice thing to do. It's satisfying. And so we have happy clients, happy, because the type of service is also where it's not like a mechanic where their car break down, they have to take it there. So the clients are happy to have their car detailed. It's a huge difference. Employees are
Hmm.
happy as well. um, and so that's what I looked into before I got into this, and the low overhead.
Okay. Yeah, and it is low barrier of entry business, whereas you can start with little or nothing and create a booming business with clientele coming from the right and from the left. But like what you said,
Hmm.
um, a lot of that is based upon structure. A lot of that is based upon the structure of the business and how the business is modeled. What module are you after? Are you doing high volume, low pricing? Are you doing high pricing, high ticket item with low volume? Or are you doing production, meaning you're doing more dealership work or more car lots, um, or fleet work? So it's just different angles that you can take with it, but the detailer has to have the mindset that of how do I want this business to grow, in what capacity do I want it to grow, and then you stay in that lane and you just expand inside of that lane, and everything else is going to fall in place. So with given that you have a franchise business, how was it getting your first franchisee? How did you go about finding an individual that's interested into invest the money into it, and then take off from there?
Yes, Patrick. So the focus that I have is, as you know, growing to multiple locations. Um, and there's that famous quote: the harder I work, the luckier I get. Um,
Yeah.
and I would never consider it lucky because it was indeed hard work. And then as I started the business, knowing that that's what I wanted to do from the beginning, as I mentioned before, I did all training materials for new employees to come. I trained the trainer so that they are ready to pass it on. The services we have, all the services ready in place, the back end systems in place for them to be part of the company, and for new managers. So the focus with Wings, we are offering services so far covering all the state of Virginia, multiple cities. We are soon to go to North Carolina, and w- as as we started to grow, I started realizing how I can get different managers. So initially, I got a franchisee in Virginia Beach, and he came to me. He was seeing how I was operating the business. I was growing with intentions to grow in other states. He realized that uh, in a conversation we were we are actually playing golf in a golf course, and we were talking about business. He was seeing that I was answering phone call while we were playing the game. I don't play very much, you know. I don't. It's not
Yeah.
time for fun right now. I still have a long way to go.
Uh-huh.
But that happened that we did play that day, and my phone was going nonstop as I was managing the guys. And he liked that. He
Yeah.
saw, man, you're anywhere, you're young, and you're to the point where you can already manage your business and manage your employees. And
Right.
the way they think sometimes is, okay, you're not uh, you don't have to work hard to achieve this, but that, you know, you do. You harder than actual corporate people.
Right. Right.
But he liked that, you know, he liked that idea, and eventually got into going to Virginia Beach. And that's how I start focusing more of my locations to be private owned. So I own the locations, and I do give people opportunity to do what I do. You know, to become, if they like, to become their own, to open their own Wings Mobile Detailing their location. But
Hmm.
that's initially where it came from, because the guy saw the the style of life. Not that it is easy, but it's motivating.
Right.
It's fulfilling to be a business owner and keep growing. And when you see all the systems in place as it did, it's like ready to grow to another location. And then whenever the manager is ready to grow to another location, he knows that we're expanding, that he just needs to fulfill that location up that he started with one, two, or three events. You know, maybe in the third year, he can already have three events going out and multiple clients.
Right.
So when he saw the potential, that's when it clicked and it started over there. And then from there, that's when I opened another location in Fairfax, and
Hmm.
sent I sent a trainer over there, and they started from there. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so
So
that's kind of
with
came
your
to me.
business, uh, with the business, was it self-funded, or did you have to go and get some sort of loan, SBA loan, or some sort of business assistance financially?
It was pure. It was pure. Let's see. All right. Sorry, it popped up something on the screen.
Oh,
It
okay.
was pure grind from the beginning. I
Yeah.
started, so I can tell you my story if you like to see, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was not done through loans, or it was pure like get first client and then from the power base, and then get the second client, save that money to buy another van, and then go to the next step. It was literally step by step. Never got to the point where I put the horse in front of the carriage, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
And from the beginning, that's when I started off with my brother's car, detailing. There's a whole story when, you know, after I came here from Brazil, I did high school here. From high school, I knew from the beginning that, man, you know, something's odd with me. Like, I'm not the type to be in a classroom and follow a corporate ladder. Uh,
Yeah.
totally respect people who are, but that wasn't for me. And I was desperate
Yeah.
because I got to go to college, kind of forced to go to college and pick a class there, which was engineering classes. And when the thing is not for you, you can do whatever you want. You're not gonna do very well. Um,
Right. Right.
so I wanted to. I know I had an entrepreneurial mind, and from from the point I was in Brazil, I left Brazil when I was 14 years old. Even at 12, 13 years old in Brazil, I used to go door to door, sell ice cream cones. I painted art frames. I would sell the door to door. So that
Uh,
entrepreneurial drive was always in me. And when I was in college, that's when I was like, I know I wanted to grow a business. I wanted to grow something, but whatever I put my mind into, I want to do it big. I want to grow a big business. It will take time. The success
mhm.
will come later. But in college, that's what I wanted to do. And then when I told you, that's when the thought came into my mind, what type of business I wanted, which was the mobile part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ever since, that's how I got into the actual the actual business itself. That's when
Mhm.
I from the beginning, that's what I just wanted. I wanted to grow a business, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people connect to it. A lot of people, they
Yeah.
are in college, they don't know what to do, but that's a very fine line for those people. If the audience is looking, oh, how do I expand? Do I even start a business? Do I start a business in detailing?
Mhm.
And on that end is, if you're going to start a business thinking, oh, I want to be my own boss, or oh, I don't want to work too much and make a lot of money, that's not a good reason for you. Maybe that's a reason not to start a
Yeah.
business. Because you're going to
Yeah.
have to
Because it's the
answer.
total opposite.
Yeah, yeah, you know how clients are. Like, you have to answer to your clients more than you
Yeah.
would have to one boss. Like, you have multiple bosses. uh,
Yeah.
And if you decide to just go with the flow and not care much about answering and doing your best and answering to your bosses, like, you're you work for them. It's like you have to put in your mind that you work for your clients. Because if you don't,
Right.
people are not going to do well in any industry.
Right.
And I think that's and if you don't mind me asking, Patrick, what was the question initially that you asked me about when I started?
Yeah. So the initial question was about your first, how did you go about getting your first franchisee? And then from there, we was talking about, just the kind of like the start of the business. Why did you choose uh,
Hmm.
franchising as an option? And then, how do you take that and a business build something similar to that model? And then we would just kind of like went into the finance side of it. Um,
Oh yeah,
was
that
it
was.
self-funded? Was it funded through a bank? And your story is similar to my story, um, as it pertains to just taking one step at a time to get to the ultimate goal, and that's to build a sustainable business that not only helps me and my family, but help other families. My claim to fame, I want to build a business where people say, I bought my first house working for Personal Touch Mobile Detailing. I put my kids through
Hmm.
school working for Personal Touch Mobile Detailing. And, you know, I want to be able to leave that stamp on not only the community, but the people that work for me. And,
Yeah,
just,
that's a huge plus into getting into any business. I think that's a really good, the main quality that successful entrepreneurs, I see that they tend to have, is they look into other people. How I can help
right,
other people, make them
right,
better. Obviously, at the beginning, you gotta be. I believe that people has to be entrepreneurs are selfish. because they gotta
Yeah.
first think about themselves, how they're gonna grow, so then they can help others.
Right.
But that's huge. And you're right, like as far as the funding part goes, Patrick, um, and that's when I decided, I knew that I wanted to get into entrepreneurial journey. And I saw videos like, okay, mobile detailing. When it clicked on me, I was gonna start mobile detailing, but I knew I want to grow big and expand and help other people have the same type of lifestyle, people who is in the same mindset as I am, because a lot of people are
Yeah.
corporate type of people. But there are
Yeah.
a lot of people who's like they just have their entrepreneurial drive, like I did, and
Right.
and and that's what I'm doing now, into getting these people that wanted to interested into getting to detailing, specifically detailing, because that's the industry. And with me, it was step by step. The benefit of getting to a franchise is because you don't take too small of a step, because everything is kind of laid out on a way. It's like if
Mm.
when a rich person goes broke because something happened, they get rich real quick again because they already know the steps. So that's the benefit
Right.
of being part of a foundational business. And with me, it was the beginning was very small. I have my brother's. I use my brother's car. He had a beat up Mitsubishi sedan. I
Mm-hmm.
went to Walmart, um, bought a vacuum cleaner. Those tiny small vacuum cleaners from Walmart, like
Yeah.
$35, I think, and
Yeah.
put in the trunk. I did not know how to do any service. I knew how to vacuum a car, wash it. I barely knew what wax and sealants were. Like I did not know any difference.
Uh-huh.
um, Matter of fact, when I was 8 or 9 years old in Brazil, I washed my dad's car with steel wool to try to make him happy, because I
Uh-huh.
thought it would make it nice, but but that was a really huge mess. Obviously, we don't do that right now. That would be a nightmare. But
Yeah.
I would scratch everything up, and I borrowed my brother's car, his Mitsubishi, got the little vacuum, knocked on doors, start off with me asking the clients, "Hey, would you like to get your car washed for $25?" Matter of fact, one of
Yeah.
the my first clients, she actually was surprised. She was like, $25? You're gonna come here to wash the car inside and outside? Dude, that's crazy. I would start with at least $100. I mean, don't do that to yourself. And I start to think
Yeah.
from there, okay, let me charge you 80. And I
Yeah.
did just a similar inside and outside detailing. I start learning the actual trade on YouTube. It was very slow, and then I started to say, okay, now I can offer shampoo services. And then I started to really get deep into it as years, went by, um, on each particular service. And as I was growing, I was building up systems very slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and until it was growing to that point where, it was actually, um, we actually, had multiple people, multiple events, and everything.
Mm. That's interesting. That's like the same thing with me. When I started out, a gentleman,
The timer's clicking, isn't it? 5 seconds.
yeah, like for me, I had a gentleman that helped me out with the detailing business, and I was charging $15 just to wash a car, and $20 for an SUV. But when I left New Orleans due to the Hurricane Katrina and went to um, Texas, it kind of changed my whole perspective. I met this guy named Mr. Jesse Dahl, and I went up to his house, knocked on his door, opened his door up, and he asked me basically, how can I help you? And I said, I'm here to see if you would be interested in getting your car detailed. So he was saying, oh, okay, so how much are you gonna charge? I said, $15. He said, $15? He said, son, you're doing this thing all wrong. So he helped me restructure everything. and then I went from 15 to 25 for cars, and then uh, 40 for SUVs. And then I went through that period of restructuring, and then I came back. I moved back to New Orleans, and then I went up on my prices again. So I um,
Mm-hmm.
I just kept restructuring, fine tuning, and looking at what type of customer do I really want. And once I figured out the actual customer that I want, then I started targeting that particular customer. Hold on a second. So then I started targeting that particular customer. So I know what you mean when you're saying start off small and you just build. Then you get to a point whereas now instead of you doing the work, now you have people that's doing the work for you and you're managing them.
True.
Uh, so my question to you would be, what are the pros and cons of a franchise, especially on the mobile end, mobile franchise? What would you say the pros and cons would be?
Yeah, so for I can think a lot of pros. uh a lot of pros. I mean, part of the business itself, going specifically to this business, is the low overhead, low employees turnover, and obviously in the same industry you can find businesses that are structured differently to the point where they do have a high employee turnover or a high overhead.
Hmm.
But looking at a company specific, that's what I always like about it in the industry overall. Like you can have a company with low employee turnover, low overhead, and the prices of their service, the profit margin is higher due to the low overhead. In the
Right.
industry specific, as you know, it's auto detailing, so the weather has a huge, uh, not a huge hit. It has a certain hit on it, and I'm sure you do, gift certificate cards in the winter to
Yeah.
make up
Yeah.
for the loss of businesses.
Right.
And so weather can be a little bit of a con, depending on the state you reside also. If
Hmm.
you want to start a business in Alaska, mobile detailing,
Hmm.
you may still be profitable. There are ways to start a mobile. Technically, there is, there's type of waterless wash, but you cannot just deal with water there all the time because it's
Right.
not going to work. The water's going to freeze. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And for 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 those are the, aside from the financial aspect, the style of business, and a huge pro on starting this type of business. That's what we actually like to advise people or set it as a goal, is the part of you working from home and managing a team.
Yeah.
And you can get to this point. People in this business can get to this point a lot quicker than they think they can. There's a lot of detailers out there as well who really just loves to detail. That's fine. They want to be on the
Yeah.
field,
Yeah.
self-employment. That's fine. But if you also want to grow as a big business, you have a big franchise location in your area, for example, and this is a really good business to grow that way and then set a goal as you're working from home. But until you
Hmm.
reach to that point, there is work, but it's not, you're not like working 5 years until you reach that point.
Right.
Perhaps you're working two, no more than 3 years. That can happen.
Hmm.
And once you start managing the business from home, you're using your time to the most valuable area of the business, which is not the front. It's not the front line. It's actually you focus on on the growth,
Hmm.
and that is actually what we said with the goals, and that's a huge pro for this
Yeah.
business because you're not also working, you know, all day from home office.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning, you're starting to hire, and we show people how to do that very carefully, very detail how to start hiring a trainer and then a supervisor. But initially, as you work from home, you're going to start supervising your guys, the vends that you have out there, until you grow to the point where you have a supervisor, but then you're doing something else, social media, um, and the growth itself. So it's not like a corporate job where you do the same thing every day, even though most of the day you were working from home when you reach this level. So there's a huge pro for me. That's what I love about it. And for you to go downhill from there, if all the systems you have a good foundation in place, that's the chances are very low for you to for you to have huge setbacks. Where other businesses, you have a huge setback, you can lose all that and go back to the point. But you have to be in a place where you have a good foundation at the same time.
Hmm. Okay. Hold on a second. One second.
All right, you're trying to go back to the DSLR.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
switching
drink
over
some.
now.
Am I talking too much, Patrick? I
No,
I get a bit too excited, man. I'm sorry. Please cut me, Patrick, if I am, nonstop and you want to cut right there. I don't want to extend too much your podcast, man, with my
uh, you're
my
doing great.
story.
You're
I'm
doing
sorry.
great. I mean, guys need to know this, and they need to hear it from multiple people to know that you don't have to be in this business and treat it as a hustle. You can be in this business, choose exactly what lane you want to drive in, and put all of your focus and attention on that lane to expand and to grow the business to a level where the business start taking care of you. Um, so I'm very much inspired by you and how you took the business and started franchising it. It's just amazing. It really really is. So what are some tips that you can give detailers to put them on track to having a business that could ultimately become a franchise business? What would be the tips that you would give them to do consistently to get them to that point?
So to the point of a franchise, and I'm gonna simulate your question more of having, let's say, multiple locations, for example, so you can
Right,
manage multiple locations. Is you always, you definitely want to first know that that's what you want. I want to grow big. I
right,
would love to just, I'm willing to go through that hard work, because if you're just going for the wrong reasons, it can be fatal, because when you're going to go through setbacks, and it's going to be painful. And if you really don't want it for the right reasons, it can hurt you. Especially if you're growing to a level, faster, not just too slow, because you also want to get some speed into growing, otherwise you just free fall. And it's simpler than people think. It really is. So with, as I show, let's say, our franchisee that they want to grow into multiple locations, don't overcomplicate things. First you're gonna hire your first guy. You're gonna train your first guy to do the detail. You don't, from that point, you already, let's say you already have clients established. Let's say people already have clients and they want to start. This second step, the most hardest step, is to actually find employees.
right.
And once you know all the bureaucracy of having employees, W-2, that part we can skip, because then we can go another podcast on that.
Yeah,
But the thing is, not overcomplicate things. You find a guy, you train him, and you train him really well, because eventually you want to make this guy a trainer. So you want to set, okay, You already have your services all set up so that so that this guy can also train this guy the exact same way, the exact same services, the prices, so it's not getting out of the way. You don't have a deluxe package one day and then the other day you have a complete different type of package that includes completely different products. You're gonna have a set list of products, and when you're training this guy, you don't want to overcomplicate things by thinking, "Oh, I need to hire 3 more guys right now so that I can have this one guy ready." But you don't have enough clients for that.
Right.
You're just gonna kill yourself if you don't have enough clients to pay for that. It means you're not ready for that. So you train one guy well, you go and start doing services, um, and you also don't want to, by keeping it simple, you also don't want to complicate things on the side of marketing. You don't want to overpay for marketing. Oh, now I want a lot of clients. I'm paying this marketing company here this amount of money, so I want a lot of clients now. So I want to pay this marketing company 5 times more and struggle.
Right.
So that's
Mhm.
that's not how it works, because then you're not going to have enough systems to deal that, and then you're going to be putting money in the wrong place, and you're not going to know how the marketing actually works.
Mhm.
After you train the first guy, you go from there. Um, you're making sure the services are the same, or if you're in a company where you have already the services set up for you, great. And okay, you have more than enough clients, you can train a second guy. Maybe you train the second guy yourself. It's like, okay, now I can uh, manage these 2 guys, and I can start already showing this first guy how to train the second one that I got, because I have enough clients for that and I'm saving money. You always also want to think about keeping money, start to save money from there, because you want to have some cash at the beginning. Later on, when you grow big, it's a different story. You might not want to keep a big of a bank, so that you don't. There's a powerful story of the power of broke, but at the beginning, that's how we were. And then when you have 2 guys, one may get out of the business. One may just, hey, I decided to go, and that happened with me. That was a huge setback. I had 2 guys, one left, and I got desperate because I was like, man, it took me this long for me to hire this guy and to train this
Yeah.
guy. And now that this guy left, I lost 50% of my business. And imagine if I want to try to hire 5 people. Like, is it going to take 5 times longer, and then they can all leave and I lose everything? Um,
Right.
so that is a setback that some business, and I went through that. I went through that nightmare, and I didn't think I would be able to get out of there. And then I figured out ways to even hire people faster, how to
Mhm.
train them faster, where to find them to hire, what type of questions you ask on the interview. And when I set up those questions, I have everything systematic. So I set up those questions, and it's on the system. Like, when I'm hiring somebody, I know each point where to look to hire these people. And so
Mhm.
that's one point of tens of hundreds of points.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, you created a system right there. You hire somebody, and you can, and now you're back to 2 people. And then one leaves again. Okay, you can put one right there right away, and then you need another guy because you got more clients. You have 3 people, but now you
Right.
cannot manage 3 people yourself. You cannot keep control of 3 people because you used to be there on the field with them, and now you're working from home.
Right.
Then you start learning systems. Then you see, okay, how am I gonna keep track of the supplies in the vans? So maybe you need a software for that, accounting. That's when you start thinking from a self-employment, running a business with 1 or 2 helpers, to actually thinking, okay, organization and growing a big business. And this applies to any business. This applies to real estate. You can be a small real estate agent, or you can be a big brokerage firm. You can
Right.
be a small detailers with some helpers here and there, or you can start growing first location, hiring people quicker because you already know the systems and everything in place, and then go to a second location, go to a third location. If you need another van, you buy another van and you send the trainer over there. That's how we do, with all the support. And each point, I gave you one example of one point, which is
Mhm.
the hiring thing. But each point for that, there's always a lot of, it's not a one road way. There's a lot of paths.
Yeah.
And that's normally how we do at least the mindset that we go through. You're gonna you're gonna bump your head at the beginning, and
Yeah.
you're gonna think like you don't know what you're doing. But
Yeah.
if you're thinking that, you're probably doing the right thing.
Right.
And now, if you're thinking, "Oh, I'm doing everything right. I'm gonna rock and roll." 1 year go by, this messed up thing happens, and you're like, I'm gonna rock and roll. I'm just gonna grow huge. You're super excited. Those are the people who needs to be afraid, because they're probably doing something wrong. If it seems too easy to be, if it seems like too easy to be true, it's probably not, true.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
um, so that's there are ways to, and I can't think of better way than learning from people. Like, that's what people do, learning from people who already gone through that.
Right.
But learn
Right.
step by step. I read a lot of books and see, okay, how do I hire people? It's not about, you know a small book. They gave me a tip, when you're hiring people or firing people, which you have to do, you have to keep everything systematic there in place so that it doesn't bite you back in the future.
Hmm.
So sometimes you have to spend more money.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right. So that's the same process that I went through and currently fine tuning, and that's the process of software. So I incorporated software into the business now, and I have a better grasp on employees and offering them different benefits, whereas our business become more attractive. Just learning the mindset of an employee or of a person that you're hiring, and you kind of see, okay, what could I offer them that would give them the security that they're looking for. And I figured those things out, and and now we just expounded on that, and then started to expand on that, and
you
then
repeat the
taking
process that works in a way,
right,
right?
and then taking a business and breaking it down into sectors. So, like for me, you know, we have a crew that just wash cars, and we have a crew that just detail. The reason why I broke it up is because now we can get more washes done from a individual that pay rate is not at the same as a detailer. So when we send a detailer out, it's going to be a high ticket item. When we send a wash guy out, it's going to be uh, middle of the road, middle of the pack. Um, so with separating the crews, it gives you the ability to see, okay, we need to sell some more detailing services. Uh, hold, hold on 1 second.
Oh, that's fine.
That's my kids in there.
I understand.
Yeah. So yeah, just taking a business and breaking it off into two different components, whereas now you can see what's working, what you need to add more gasoline on, and how you can take it and explode, what you have. Like I switched my business to more of a subscription model. So instead of doing it the old way like how I was doing it, now I have what is called a membership plus rewards
Mhm.
program that I offer to anybody that's a member. So when you're a member with us, you get all of the benefits of being a member, the discounts and the different things like that we offer. Or we have a new product that we testing out, you will be the first to uh, it'll be tested out on your vehicle first versus
Right.
having to wait or you know, or what have you. So structure is big. I love the points that you're giving, um, and I think this is a good one. It's a good one.
Awesome, Patrick. Yeah.
So,
And yeah.
any last words that you want to share or give?
Yeah, I mean to enforce on that point when a lot of detailers, and I know a lot of detailers, quality people who does a excellent job, and a lot of small business owners who's maybe not even in the industry of detailing. Maybe they're just an entrepreneur in another industry, but this repeats to a lot of different businesses. They're they get afraid when they go through a huge setback
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning because of lack of systems, lack of preparation or knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they acquire knowledge, and sometimes they think they cannot pass through that. And once they do, they don't want to feel unstoppable because that's also a problem. But once they do, they realize that okay, this is normal. It's normal to be difficult. Not only is it normal, but it's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be from night to day. It's step by
Right.
step. It's
Right.
not, oh, I want to have a lot of detailing vans. So my first day, I'm already going to buy 3 vans and have them ready for when I need them. No, you
Right.
start with 1 van.
Right.
Um, and that applies to any business. And not, people who's listening don't get discouraged by the hardships. If this is for you, if you're enjoying it, uh, there are going to be hard times, but hard times is it's got to be there. And
Yeah.
learn from it, create systems so that the same thing that caused you to go to setback on your business, learn from it so that doesn't happen again. Create system for it so that doesn't happen again, or
Yeah.
know or learn from somebody else a system so that you don't even have to go through that and find out yourself.
Right.
And you just go one after the other. I'm gonna go through a lot of setbacks still. That sometimes when things are going really well in the business, I
Yeah.
cringed. I cringe a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what's coming
what
next?
what's coming next? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay then. I had a great interview with you on today, and I want everybody to check out our interview with Wings Mobile Detailing, and I'll see you guys on next week.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you.
All right.